So here I am sitting on the front lawn of my high school, with a group of friends, a denim jacket and a quarter-pound of pot. There are about 10 of us sitting in a circle with my best friend Paul Smith sitting beside me. Last names have been changed to protect the innocent. It was lunchtime, and we were all relaxing and having a Coke and a bite to eat between classes. Paul and I hung out together every day. We have been friends for most of our lives. We met back in grade school. Back in the day when your mother would never think of driving you to your friend's house. We were on our own. We walked or we rode our bikes wherever we went. We was safe. Child abductors and predators were not lurking around every corner. In our high school days, all the guys wore denim jackets, either GWGs or Levi's. That was the style. It was part of our hippie youth uniform. Paul and I both wore GWG's jackets. We liked them better, because they had an extra pair of pockets and snaps instead of buttons. That afternoon Paul's GWG jacket was laying in a heap on the lawn between him and his girlfriend Colleen. Under the jacket, Paul had about 1/4 pound of weed. Paul was a high school marijuana dealer. He sold nickel bags, dime bags, and even the occasional ounce of pot. He had been conducting business that afternoon. He wasn't in it to make a fortune. He was in it to get his personal smoke for free. Not for the money. He wasn't that big a deal. Our group had only been sitting there for 10 or 15 minutes, when the principal and two official-looking dudes crossed the lawn and approached us. They must have had a description of Paul, because they went directly to him. One of the dudes said, "Paul Smith?" Paul answered yes nervously. One of the dudes said, "Police, come with us please," and he gestured for Paul to stand up. Paul stood up and the cop reached out and took Paul by the arm. Paul didn't touch his denim jacket. He didn't even look at it. He left it laying on the ground beside his girlfriend Colleen. The cops didn't notice it lying there. The first thing I thought was, holy shit, the cops got Paul. Then several things happened at once. First, Paul stood up and one of the cops took hold of him by the upper arm. At the same time our entire group got up and drifted off in different directions. When Colleen stood up, she grabbed Paul's jacket, pot and all, and calmly walked away taking it with her. Those cops were serious dudes. You would have thought they were arresting public enemy number one, instead of a 17-year-old high school kid who sold a bit of marijuana on the side. And the principal, he thought he was about to pull the switch on a death row inmate by the look on his face. Paul was marched into the school and escorted into the principal's office. This major kingpin drug bust took only seconds. The rest of us gathered in small groups and talked about what just went down. It did not take long for the entire school to know there had been some sort of police action. Word certainly travels fast. A short time later I was sitting with friends talking and leaning up against the school. That's when Paul approached in my direction. The two cops were with him. I wasn't looking his way when he yelled at me, "I told you not to go into my locker. Is that my jacket? Give it back, right now." He sounded pissed off. I was momentarily startled. I thought, why is he yelling at me? This isn't his jacket. It's mine, and he knows it. Then I got it. It was the cops who wanted the jacket. I stood up and took off my jacket and handed it to Paul. I said, "Sorry man." One of the cops took the jacket and searched through the pockets. There was nothing in them. The cop handed Paul back my jacket and Paul put it on. Luckily Paul and I wore the same size denim jackets. Paul was then escorted away by the cops. I guess they hadn't finished with him yet. Maybe they hadn't completed their questioning. Maybe they still hadn't waterboarded him, or stuck bamboo shoots under his fingernails. They still needed more time in order to prise out the truth from him. Paul was going to be fine. They couldn't bust him. They had to let him go. They had nothing on him. There was no proof. Paul's locker had been searched, and it was clean. The missing jacket had been produced. When questioned, Paul insisted he didn't know what they were talking about. He said he had nothing to do with marijuana. The cops had no choice but to let him go. Somebody in the school had narked on Paul that very day. They had an exact description of Paul and what he was wearing, including his denim jacket. When the cops searched his locker, the jacket was missing. The cops wanted to know where it was. Paul thought quick. He told the cops that I probably took it. He told them I went into his locker all the time and borrowed things. He said, "It sometimes pisses me off." The cops told Paul they wanted to see his jacket immediately. The cops said, Let's go find John. Paul led the cops around different parts of the school looking for me. The whole time Paul was hoping that I would catch on to how he was trying to fool the two narcs with the jacket switch. When they did find me, Paul was sure that I would be wearing my jacket. We always wore them everywhere. He knew my jacket fit him perfectly and it was identical to his. If I caught on quickly, the trick should work. They found me sitting down leaning against the front of the school talking with friends. You already know the rest of the story. Paul was very lucky that day. Everything fell into place for him. 1. When the cops came, the pot was hidden under his jacket, not hidden on his body. 2. The cops didn't notice the jacket sitting on the ground beside him. 3. Colleen picked up the jacket with the pot still hidden under it and walked away. The cops didn't even notice her. If she had not taken the jacket, the cops would have surely seen it lying there. Things may have turned out very differently. 4. My jacket was identical to his jacket. 5. I caught on to his trick quickly and handed over my jacket. The cops went away empty-handed that day.